and his guests discover how businesses thrive in California.
Well, welcome to the Pilgrim on the 405. We're going to be talking today about hiring and hiring a particular group of people. We have with us Virginia Richardson, who's a recruiter for Allied Universal. Welcome to the Pilgrim on the 405, Virginia.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good. So tell us a little bit about Allied Universal and what do they do?
Well, Allied Universal, we are the largest American leading security company that provides over 160,000 employees right now. A company basically is tailored solution that allow our clients to focus on core businesses, which allows our officers to provide great customer service to our clients.
Now, so you provide security for what size companies?
Very large size companies. We have over probably hundreds and hundreds of clients. Our companies, some are government, private owned, HOAs, hospitals, airports. We do all type of security for all types of companies.
So how did you get to Allied Universal? Now, we were talking before the show about growing up in Chicago.
Yes, that's correct. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I was tired of being cold.
Yeah.
So at around the age of about 30, I decided to move to Texas, go Cowboys.
Yes.
And got there and started working in the retail world. Worked in retail for about 25 years in management, opened and closed a lot of stores. And while working in management, I was approached by one of my leads, and they were having a problem with filling some of their positions. So with the type of person I was, they asked me to step in and help recruit. I began recruiting. They gave me a task of a year and 6 months. I had all their positions filled. They were really pleased with the work. I decided at that point that recruiting was something that I really liked doing. So 12 years later, here I am still recruiting.
So talk about recruiting. I mean, especially today, we have low unemployment, right?
That is true, sir. The unemployment right now, it's very low, especially in Southern California. So, I mean, there's ways we have to look out of the box when it comes to recruiting. We rely on different organizations to help us recruit, such as Goodwill. It's one of the largest ones that we use. They allow us to come in and have hiring events at their locations. They help us screen people looking for the right candidates that become a great security officer. They also provide training for their clients to help them to get on the right path, especially to going into the security field. As a security officer, you don't have to be a brain surgeon. High school diploma, the age of 18 is something that we look for. We do a background check. But we target, those people that want to help other people. Those are the type of people that we look for to become good security officers.
And now, security officers, but you hire for others, as well as security officers, right?
Well, our positions, they are mainly security positions. Some of our positions, require, walking and standing and that type of things. But we hire concierge. We hire dispatch because we're in the malls. We hire, sometimes when you go into some of those high-rise buildings and you see those people with those suits and ties on and they're directing you in the direction you need to go. A lot of people don't realize that those are actually security officers. So you don't necessarily, we're not running around like mall cops.
Right.
You'll see us in the shirt and ties and, that type of apparel, and we're still considered security officers.
Well, all right. So now, as you look for people, it's not rocket science, but what are the kind of qualifications that people have?
You know what? To be a good security officer, like I said, you have to have that good customer service skill. Basically, is what we look for, because as security officers, that's what you are. We're the eyes and ears or second set of eyes and ears to your police department. We are first responders. We're there before the police are in a lot of instances. So we look for people that that observe and report. That's exactly what we're able to do, and that's what we look for in people that show those type of skills.
Now, as you look around in Southern California, that's where you're hiring for, right?
That is correct.
All right. So as you look around, what sort of limitations do you have out there in the marketplace right now?
The marketplace is getting smaller because of the competition that's out there. Pay rate, of course, is something that we look at. And I mean, it's getting a little harder to find people to work in Southern California. And I think it's based on, the fact that, prices are going up and rent is going up and electric bill goes up and people, need more money. So the competition with retail, we have that we have to fight against. We have other security companies also that are competing for the same people that we compete for, because in the state of California you do have to have a California Guard Card or California license to become a security officer. So that's one of the obstacles that people may have as a challenge. But here at LI Universal, we actually offer assistance with obtaining the Guard Card. Goodwill is also one of the organizations that we use that will also help people obtain their Guard Card as well.
All right. So when you think about somebody at Goodwill coming, what sort of assistance does Goodwill provide?
I love working with Goodwill. They are very good at, like I said, screening out before they send them to LI Universal. They kind of know that, what we are looking for or what would make a good security officer. So they'll do the pre-screening for us. They also offer, in some cases, they'll offer the Guard Card class. They just know what we as a security company is looking for. Goodwill has a very good program that works with veterans. And veterans, not to knock anyone else, but they do tend to make very good security officers. They already have that training that we look for. So they're very good at sending us those type of individuals, and that's what we look for as well. A couple of years ago, I was given the opportunity to hire a lot of people from Goodwill, and that led to me winning the award for the year for the employee that hired the most employees from Goodwill veterans. So those are very good opportunities.
So what do you observe about people who come from Goodwill in terms of work ethic?
I noticed that a lot of times, and I say this, that as a recruiter, I see a lot of people come in to interview. And I see when people come from Goodwill, or candidates come from Goodwill, they usually dress properly. They have their resumes, they're on time. So I can tell that Goodwill evidently has put in place some type of training so these people can get out and actually look for a job and know, how to walk into an interview, what to bring with you to an interview, how to dress for an interview. A lot of people in this day and age, it would be funny how many people walk into my office with, shorts and flip-flops and and say they're looking for a job, and I'm thinking, this is not the beach.
We're going to send them over to Working Wardrobes and get them prepared,
exactly,
right?
Exactly, which is another very good organization.
And so Working Wardrobes and Goodwill both provide the kind of assistance in preparing people for interviews.
They do. And LI Universal, we will go out also to those organizations, and we do what we call mock interviews. We help them get their candidates up to par. So a lot of them may not be security person, but as a recruiter, I don't have a problem with going to Goodwill or Working Wardrobes or Reboot or Rest Care, a lot of the other organizations that I use, that I'll go in and I'll do mock interviews for them, and a lot of times that also helps a person realize what direction they might want to go into, whether it be security, whether it be nursing, retail, janitorial, a lot of different options.
Well, when my experience in talking to people who have hired folks from Goodwill, that people from Goodwill tend to be very strong, have a very strong work ethic.
They do, and you say that, Will. It's very true. I find that the retention of people coming from Goodwill seem to last longer. Goodwill also has I guess it's a group where we hire older people, seniors, and they tend to work just as hard or even harder than some of the young people that we tend to hire, and that they have that work ethic that we look for, getting to work on time, coming properly dressed in your uniform. Your uniform is nice and clean. They have that, so Goodwill is very good at training.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If an individual comes looking for a job, they depend upon their own experience and values and expectations. If someone's coming from Goodwill, like you said, they're screened, and then they're also trained on how to come to the interview. But then also in many cases, there's work coaches, right, that will help them on the job.
They do, and I've met several of Goodwill's work coaches and have built relationships with them. And they do. They train those individuals to how to act, how to work, how to they kind of put their name on the line. They're recommending this person for this job, so they they expect results from that individual. And so far so good. We've had a lot of success stories coming from Goodwill as a partner with Allied Universal.
Is there anyone that you don't have to tell me their name, but are there any stories that stick out that are particularly interesting?
Oh my God, it's probably a few. I remember actually when I won the award at Goodwill there was actually a young lady that had came from Goodwill, and she also had won the Employee of the Month, and she was actually one of Allied Universal's employees. And she had came in as just a regular security officer. In about a month and a half, she was promoted to lead security officer. From lead security officer, she went to supervisor. From supervisor, she actually went to account manager. So it's definitely a way to promote, themselves. And I mean, she was a vet, but she came through the Goodwill's program, and she's still with us today. And like I said, she came in just as a regular security officer, and I want to say it was maybe a year that now she's running one of our accounts.
And when we say they came through the Goodwill program, there's some disability that they have.
She was a vet, so I'm not sure what disability she had, but she came from the Goodwill organization.
And that's Goodwill's job. One of Goodwill's jobs is to find worthwhile jobs for people who otherwise might
are forgotten.
Forgotten.
Okay, forgotten.
Marginalized.
Kicked to the curb, or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And here at Allied Universal, we are. We hire who we think is good for the job.
Right.
We don't discriminate at all. And that's one of the things that like I said, we work with a lot of different, organizations. We have community-based organization programs that we actually have started where we actually give back to the communities, whereas churches, organizations, if they recommend someone and we hire them, we actually donate $400 back to the organization for every person that they hire. So, and if anyone needs to know about that program, you can actually look that up at www.aus.com/communitycareers. We have the website there. You would go on and register your organization and actually start getting some donations back for recommending people.
Well, now here's a tough question for you. A lot of people that I come across in working with homeless from time to time, they come out of prison. Now, they would probably not be a good candidate for a security job.
I don't. I've actually gone down to the homeless off of the one in Santa Ana, and actually did a recruiting down there. So a lot of people want to say homeless people are homeless and they can't work, and that's not true, sir. I actually went down, did a recruiting down there, and we got candidates from there, because just because you're homeless don't make you.
Well, if you have had prison time, does that disqualify you as a security guard?
I can't answer that because that's not my.
Right?
Yeah, that's something that would be out of my ring
to
answer.
But it shouldn't stop somebody from applying.
It should not. Of course not. We do not discriminate at all.
Right.
The state of California requires you to be able to obtain a guard card or a license to be a security officer.
Really?
So there is a background that is ran on every individual that holds a license as a security officer. So the state of California decides on who.
Well, good. So now, in speaking with Kathy Copeland at Goodwill, one of the things that she and I were talking about was there are many people in Goodwill who would be looking for jobs.
Like I said, coming into, we actually are holding. Actually, we held 2 on the 22nd at our location, or at Goodwill's location, and then tomorrow, being Wednesday, we actually are holding 2 other hiring events at the Goodwill locations.
Okay. Well, that there are more people there than you're going to hire, right?
Right. Well, this particular hiring event is based on, it's just for LI Universal.
Okay.
There won't be any other companies there.
Okay.
It will just be us.
But there are lots of people at Goodwill who are looking for jobs.
There's a lot of people everywhere looking for jobs, and I say that when we talk about the economy being great and unemployment is down, but there's still a lot of people out there looking for work. Unfortunately, a lot of us, a lot of people have to work 2 jobs. So you may have 1 job, but you might be looking for a second income. And I think that's where we are right now. I don't think people realize that when they say the economy is doing so great and it's low, but you got a lot of people out there working 2 jobs.
Super. Well, we're going to take a break right now, Virginia, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about reluctance that people might have to work with Goodwill.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
We'll be right back after we hear from a word from our sponsors.
Hi, it's time for more insights from Sandler Training. Here are some ideas on beating procrastination. Do what you hate first. The least enjoyable tasks should be done early when you're most energetic. For example, the buyer you'd rather not call should be at the top of your list. The accountability contract. A daily call with a friend outlines the dreaded things that you both should do that day. At the end of the day is where you talk about your accomplishments. The 24-hour rule. Do one thing toward accomplishing any new task as soon as it's assigned to you, and start your follow-ups aimed at finishing that task within 24 hours. Visualize completion. Think about how great you'll feel when you get it done. The more in-depth your visualization, the quicker you'll start making it happen. And that's another tip from Sandler Training, finding power through reinforcement.
Well, welcome back to the Pilgrim on the 405, where we're having a lively conversation with Virginia Richardson from Allied Universal. We're talking about hiring and some of the reluctance that people at businesses might have for hiring particular groups of people. Virginia, when I was talking with Kathy Copeland, she's one of the vice presidents at Goodwill, we were talking about the great experience that many employers have had with Goodwill people. They tend to have strong work ethics. And sometimes, that obviously comes from some training that Goodwill gives them, but sometimes that comes from maybe an experience like my administrative assistant had, which is going on 78 different job interviews and not having a single person offer her a job. And so I was talking to Kathy about that, and I said, what's the placement rate? I mean, do you place everybody into jobs at Goodwill? She said, no, we have lots of people who are very competent and could be making significant contributions to businesses in Southern California. And I was curious about what was the obstacle. And she said there are concerns that businesses have if they've never hired a person from Goodwill, and chances are they have some disability. And she said they're reluctant to do that because they don't have the experience. And I said, well, but they would learn. And she said, well, there might be some concerns that they have, which might be some fears. And what I suggested to Kathy was that we might talk to people who have successfully employed people through the Goodwill program and talk about and hear about their experience. So that's what we're looking for with the next 4 or 5 interviews that we're having with people who have successfully employed people from Goodwill, is to encourage, to give some stories and share with other business owners the success that they have found with Goodwill people.
Well, let me say this. We are equal opportunity employer committed to hire an advanced workforce. We invite everyone who meets our minimum requirements to apply. So we're interested in vets, students, people of faith, older workers. You know, we prolong their that have decided to go back to work. So with that being said, I mean, as far as having a high work ethic and dependable, that's what we look for.
Right. Right, and that's been successful with people from Goodwill,
and it has been.
Yeah, and so that's reassuring people that just because somebody has a disability doesn't mean that there's a reason that's not a reason for them not to hire somebody.
You're right,
and those disabilities could be anywhere from. They're in a wheelchair, to they have limited ability to use particular parts of their body. But when there are ways of overcoming that, ways of compensating for that, this should not stop somebody from hiring them.
I can't speak on that. Again, that's not my, that's not what my specialty is.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what in talking with Eric Basilian and Kathy Copeland and people who are actually working with those programs, and my personal experience, as well as some other people that I've been talking with, is it's amazing what's possible. Absolutely amazing, and we have such a tremendous resource that's coming through Goodwill in terms of their support, their training, their ongoing reinforcement of skills. That's and you're saying that you're certainly hiring regularly from Goodwill.
We are,
and that's a strong resource for you.
It is.
So tell me what you see moving forward in the labor market. Is the employment rate going to go down? Is it going to go up? What do you anticipate? Well, you're a professional.
I am, and security is not going anywhere. So, the way the world is going, we'll need more security officers. So if it was me doing the research, I would say, of course, and I hope it's going to go up. And that's all we can pray for, in this day and age, is that it does go up.
Well, tell me about when you hire, what are the kind of questions that people ask about the job?
Your average. Most people want to know the pay rate, of course, and the hours. Mm-hmm. If is there overtime? Is there any type of benefits? With us and LI Universal, we do offer benefits for our employees. Health, dental, 401k. We have a lot of different perks. We offer tuition reimbursement. We offered a lot of perks, so a lot of those questions is people want those things, mm-hmm. Within a job. Vacation time, sick pay, they need those things.
And these are all things that
we
Allied
do.
Universal offers?
We offer all of those things.
And so what makes Allied Universal different from the competition?
We're the best.
Tell me why.
We are the best because we care. We care about our employees. We care about our clients. We strive to hire people that care about what they do, how they want to protect people. So we look for the best people in the market to hire. And I think that's what sets us above the rest of the competition out there. That's how we've become successful. That's why we're the largest security company in North America right now. So we strive to be the best.
Well, you have some core values. Tell us about Allied's core values.
Well, Allied's core values are, first of all, we are united as a team. We're client focused, and we're obsessed with focusing on results. So, that's what we look for. That's what we strive for every day, is working for our clients, keeping them hired. They hire us to keep their property and their personal and themselves safe. And that's what we tend to do each and every day, that we put our officers out in the field.
So somebody coming to work for Allied would need to be comfortable working as part of a team.
Of course.
Right. It's not a Lone Ranger out there.
It is not.
And they have to be client focused.
They do. They
right?
have. You're working to protect someone's property. Someone's loved one. People work hard for their things. So we tend to try to put officers, they're out there to protect those things.
And so is this part of your hiring process? Is identifying people who have those core values?
It is, and it's so funny. I talk to people about being a recruiter, and I think it's not something that you can be taught. Mm-hmm. I think that usually in about 3 minutes or 4 minutes of me talking with someone, I can almost tell, what type of person, that person it is, or what they, what they're going to bring to the table. It's really easy to pick that out, and I think that's what makes me a good recruiter.
Right. Right. And I mean, what in working with businesses, one of the things that we want people to think about is when you think about people, it's getting the right people in the right seat. And right people means they agree with your core values.
They do have to agree with the core values.
Because if you have people in your organization, even if they are doing highly productive work, they're doing excellent work, but they don't have the core values, they'll chip away at your company.
They will, and we try to, get what's the word I'm looking for? Identify the bad apples, because each company has them, and we hopefully can move on and past that.
So one of those first pieces, and presumably Goodwill's working with you also to identify people who have the core values for
and
Allied
they do,
University.
and that's why, like I said, I like working with Goodwill, because they do that pre-screening before they.
And not everybody has these core values.
You're right.
There's some people who are going to work much better as a Lone Ranger out there.
Right, and we do have spots for those type individuals too as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, we do have those graveyard shifts where you may be, out there on a graveyard where you're not, working with anyone else. Mm-hmm. So we have those type of positions as well.
And now, then the second piece that I find very helpful is when we're looking for somebody, they have to understand what the company's about, what's going to happen, and we call it get it. Mm-hmm. Right? And then they have to want to be doing that job. Not just, I want to get a paycheck.
Correct.
I want that job. I want to do those things. And then the third thing is this person is capable. They have a God-given capacity to do the job.
Right. And it's funny you say that, because I'm a believer that if a person loves what they do, then they will do a good job at it. But like you said, if you're just getting a paycheck, you're just doing the minimum to get that paycheck. I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna work my 8 hours, and then I'm going home. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna go over and beyond to help someone. And in security, you have to have that, that being able to go over and beyond, because in some instances you may have to. Mm-hmm. So, we had instances where we do pool coverage at some of our HOAs, and we had a young lady that had to jump in and help save a child from drowning. and that was over and beyond. I mean, she was not there as a lifeguard. She was there as a security officer, so that was, and when we took care of her. But those are some of the things that we have to, have. You have as an individual doing security. Just as myself as a recruiter. It's funny. People ask me all the time, why Virginia, and when you were born in Chicago, and I tell people, for one, I'm named after my mom, which her name is Virginia. But two is, and I'm telling my age here, is the movie Miracle on 34th Street. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And I'm a believer that I help people. I can sleep at night knowing that I've made a phone call and told someone, hey, you got a job. And I mean, you could just, in fact, yesterday I was on the phone, and I'm sorry I'm tearing up because I get very emotional when I talk about helping people. And yesterday I was on the phone with a young lady, and we were having a problem with her getting her guard card. And so I made a few phone calls, and we got the guard card situated. And when I got the email saying that her guard card, I did the happy dance, And when I called her, she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just did the happy dance. And I was like, well, I beat you to it because I said I did the happy dance before I called you. So those are the type of things that that we look for as a company. And that's one of the things why I believe, LI Universal, relies on me to hire the people or to find the people that they want to be part of their organization, because that's what we look for.
Right. Well, we call that GWC. People that are in that we want to hire are people who get it. They know what the company's doing. They have the right attitude. They want to do that job, the W, and they're capable, the C, GWC. And what we want companies to imagine and then finally get to the place where 100% of their employees are in seats where they GWC.
Exactly, and that's what makes a successful company.
Yes.
Everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants the same thing.
Right.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, they're all rowing.
Everybody gets it.
Well, everybody, and they're all rowing in the same direction
Exactly.
toward what the vision
Success.
of the company is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody has to have those core goals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it would seem to me that recruiters play a very significant role in that.
We do.
It's not just finding somebody to fill the seat, just somebody to be a warm body.
That's true.
In the same way, you're not really looking for somebody who's just there to get a paycheck.
That's true.
You're looking to fit that person in, and that's got to be very fulfilling.
It is.
When you're actually finding the person to fit into that seat. And the seat's not too large for them, it's not too small for them, it's right there in their wheelhouse.
That's very true.
We'll all be doing the happy dance.
Exactly.
Well, all right. So, what is it that you would share with employers out there about hiring in today's marketplace? I mean, a lot of businesses don't have the advantage of having a professional recruiter for them, and they're out there doing it themselves.
I would say that, go with your instinct. That's the first thing that I think I would go for. I would do some reference checks. I would definitely take a look at resumes, and if you run across a person that's job jumping, you might want to be a little leery about that person or dig into why they jump in companies so often. But I think everybody deserves a chance as well. So that's to say, you just have to be careful and look into, just do your homework when it comes to hiring people. And
it seems to me we can also suggest that they look into organizations like Goodwill, ResCare, Reboot, veterans organizations, and specifically speak to people like Eric Basilian and Kathy Copeland and her staff about tapping into those resources that are there. And it's amazing what resource is there for businesses in Southern California.
It really is. It's out there, and not only for the businesses, for the individuals that's looking for work as well.
Yeah, in my experience in discovering a woman who is now my administrative assistant, she had some significant disabilities. And when I first encountered her, it was, how is this going to work for me? But over the first, I guess first 2 months, I asked her. Now, this is a woman who's in an electric wheelchair, right? Can move 2 fingers on her left finger, on her left hand. Has a 24-hour nursing care, but she's brilliant. Has a master's degree in marriage and family counseling, a bachelor's degree, and a whiz on the computer. And so I asked her in the second, after the second month she was there, I said, I want you to go home and spend a couple hours and tell me what your limitations are, so that I can shape the job to fit
you,
right?
to fit her.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You're right. So just tell me what your limitations are. So she came back a couple days later and said, well, Will, I did what you asked me to do. I spent 3 hours putting together a list of what my limitations are. And I said, okay, so tell me what they are. She said, I don't have any. I said, what? She said, I don't have any limitations. And I said, now look, wait a minute. You're sitting there with muscular dystrophy in a chair. You can only move 2 fingers on your left hand. All right, I'll give you, there's this box. You see this big box here? It's about 6 feet long and about 4 feet high. It's filled with 3-ring binders that need to go on a shelf. Now, the bookshelf is not here yet, so we need to get the bookshelf, and it'll probably come in a box. It needs to be put together, right? Assembled. And I said, how are you going to do that? She said, well, you want me to do that? And I said, it needs to be done. She said, okay. 3 days later, I come back. The bookshelf is there, assembled. All the 3-ring binders are on it. Every shelf is labeled. I looked at her, I said, how in the world did you do this? She said, you don't understand. For 37 years, I've had nurses. They are my hands and my feet. You tell me what needs to be done.
So she
we'll
thought out of the box and got the job done.
Yeah, she thought out. And,
there you go.
And then 4 months later, I'm saying to her, I want you to try taking over my calendar. Because in my business, I have to do a lot of meetings with people, just like scheduling people for the radio show, right? Well, that's a lot of time just calling and emailing and doing all of these. And somebody wants to change at the last moment. All of that was taking up a lot of time. So I said, take it over. She took it over and did a better job than I did.
There you go.
And I had all this time freed up. A month later, I said, you've done such a good job on that. Take on my email. Now, I don't know about you, but when I used to open my email, 90 different emails, new ones every time, and they were all done by professionals and trying to get my attention, and they did. And I spent a lot of time organizing, saying, I want to read that. And I said, okay, take over my email. And she said, all right, you now have 4 categories. Informational, which you can read on the weekend. Updates, which something has changed. Finances, things that you've purchased. And information, for Will to respond. All right? So I can tell you, today, she takes care of all of my email.
Sounds like she's got you well organized.
I read about 10 emails a day.
There you go.
And I have all this time freed up. Now that to me is a miracle.
There you go. And
that is a miracle.
And they do still exist.
Oh my goodness gracious. And I'm more than happy to have her as my administrative assistant, as an employee. Amazing. And it sounds to me like that's similar to your experience at Allied Universal.
Oh yes, like I said, we if they were equal opportunity employee, we commit to hiring diversity, and if you meet our minimum requirements.
And you've had great experience with it.
And we have.
Yes.
We have.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have got the award for goodwill
there you go.
for employees.
So it really, there is a certain amount of risk, there's a certain amount of willingness to try.
Right, but that's with anyone that you hire. I mean, when my company hired me, they didn't know that they were getting the best recruiter.
Oh my goodness, somebody from Chicago. We're going to hire somebody from Chicago.
They had no idea. So that's definitely the risk that you take with hiring individuals.
Well, that's
nobody
wonderful.
knows.
That's wonderful.
People interview well, and then sometimes they turn out to be.
Sometimes they're just good interviewers.
Exactly. Yeah, we run across those every day as well. You're
right.
absolutely correct.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So if somebody wanted to apply for a job at Allied Universal, what would they do?
Yes, sir. They would actually they can do a couple of things. They can contact, go to www.aus.com, or they could also go to www.jobs.aus.com, or they can contact me directly.
And how would they do that?
They would do that by calling phone numbers 619-843-8239, or as we were just talking about, emails. You can also email me at virginia.richardson@aus.com, and I'll spell that out because it's VIRGINIA .Richardson RICHARDSON
And what was that telephone number again?
That phone number was area code 619-843-8239.
Well, thank you, Virginia, for being with us. It's very encouraging for businesses in Southern California, and one of the things that I'd like to push to small business and medium business owners is to check all of these great resources that are available for them, like Goodwill, ResCare, Reboot, veterans organizations. There's a tremendous body of people who are looking for work that they want to be doing and that they're capable of doing.
Don't forget about
Working Wardrobes.
Working Wardrobes.
Absolutely,
Yep.
Working Wardrobes. Wonderful place. Thank you very much, Virginia, for being with us.
All right, thank you, sir.
And so this saying goodbye for the Pilgrim on the 405. We're talking about how to make businesses in California thrive.
You've been listening to The Pilgrim on the 405 with Will Christ. To hear more of the programs in this podcast, go to www.willchrist.com.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.